Peter and Zygi. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks for having us. It's awesome to be here.
Hi.
Appreciate the time. You guys, obviously, we love Lectrium at Vitalize. Why you invested as well. For people who aren't familiar, though, with Lectrium, we're going to get into a lot of different details of this. But what is Lectrium for the people who haven't heard of this company before?
Yeah, so Lectrium makes every home in the US EV ready. We're installing level 2 chargers for people at their home so they can wake up every morning and their electric vehicle can have a full battery.
With this company, I always love hearing the beginning, where companies are at now and they raise money and they've gotten customers and all that. But take me back to even before all of that. Why start this company? What's the founding story behind Lectrium? I'd love to hear.
Yeah, it's an interesting story. It all started in Oslo, Norway, the capital of electric vehicles. I was a founder before Lectrium for another startup, and I was looking for an investment and the right co-founder because building a company alone was so tough. So I looked for, the best location to build an electric vehicle startup. And in the world, that's Norway, the country where EV transition already happened. 95% of new cars sold in Norway are electric. That's it.
Jeez.
So, I packed my bags and I went to Antler program in Norway for 10 weeks to build something. They asked me, to leave all the stuff behind, come with an open mind and try to find a co-founder. And this is where I met Peter.
Yeah, my journey to Antler was a little bit different. So I quit my job in investment banking, a month before the program started. I moved from New York City to Oslo, Norway, and tried to find Airbnbs to live in. And yeah, after, it's a 10-week program. And after week 5, Zygi and I shook hands, sat down, and agreed to work together. And we had 5 weeks to build a business case, get an investment, and we did that. So we can tell a few more stories from our time at Antler because I think it was really foundational for Lectrium's, current success.
Yeah, I definitely have a couple questions on that. Okay, so first off, Zygi, why Antler? Why this program? Why did you decide it? Because other founders are listening, they see accelerators, are like, I don't know which accelerator to join. Should I join an accelerator? Just take me real quickly through why you went through Antler, or why you decided to even do the program in the first place.
Sure. So first of all, it all started several years ago. I was working my business consultancy job, and some guy just wrote me a LinkedIn message. I heard you on the radio talking about innovations. I'm applying to this program. Maybe you want to, have a call and tell me a little bit about blockchain, about clean tech, about electric vehicles, everything. And we had this call, and I was, telling what's on my mind. I'm telling all the business ideas that I would do if I, quit my job and all that. And then after COVID, some time passed, and I remembered that, hey, so how is POTUS doing? And and I found out that he got investment. So we jumped on another call and we had a conversation, and he said, hey, this is a program where you as a single entrepreneur, domain expert, or a tech expert, go there for 10 weeks. And in 10 weeks, you try various business models. You try to build companies in 24 hours, in the sprints, in different teams. And they put you in different teams. Then you kind of assemble a team yourself and try this, that. And then the goal is to find a person to work together to build a business model. And there was this, Saturday evening when we looked around at this co-working space, and there was only 2 of us. And Peter said, hey, every hour past the normal working hours, there's only you and me in the room. We should work together. I think this is how you have it.
Hold on, with that, so you guys are the only ones up. You're like grinding away. You're like, okay, we're definitely working on trying to get something together. How did you decide though that like you two are going to be the ones then to build this? Because it's one thing to be like, all right, we both work hard, great. But there's also like, this is going to be like a decade maybe together. This could be 15 years together. Like, just take me through more of that thinking of like, because I like having both co-founders on the podcast because I get to ask and see what they both kind of think about it. So just take me through what you both were thinking. We'll start with Peter. What you were thinking in terms of working with Zygi.
Yeah, well, there were multiple aspects to it. There was the personal aspect to it, like our personal connection, then like the
Yeah.
business aspect to it. So on a personal level, we went to dinner together a bunch of times. We went, out together in Oslo once or twice, and we, had this environment with 45 other people, and you kind of see who you gravitate towards and who you connect with, and whose stories you like to hear, and whose, past experiences you resonate with. So I played basketball in college. I'm a huge basketball fan.
Who's
Zygi,
your team? Who's your team? Hold on. Who's your team?
Cleveland Cavaliers,
Okay. Okay.
and we like the Cleveland Cavaliers at Lectrium too. Let's just say that. Um, but anyways, Lithuania is a great basketball country, so Zygi and I bonded over that. We also bonded over our shared interest of art. We actually went to the Munch Museum in Oslo on opening day, the day of our final pitch at Antler. Other teams were preparing for their final pitch, and instead Zygi and I, went to a museum for 2 hours and like calmed down and looked at crazy Edward Munch art. So, we connected on a personal level, and then on a business level, Zygi demonstrated his expertise in electric vehicles multiple times during the program. He gave a couple presentations, and I was super interested in the EV and mobility space. So I kind of asked him a ton of questions, and he, had a lot of great answers. And we decided to sit down together and, brainstorm what part of electric vehicles we wanted to try to work on together. So it was kind of two aspects in my mind.
Okay, that's Peter's perspective. Zygi, what about you on the other side,
Yeah.
working with Peter?
Yeah, so the one thing is what was that we both were working hard, and we were not working only these normal business hours. That was the one thing. Also, it's not so common to find a person of your age that has this massive interest in art and then finding the same artist. That was cool. And then the basketball, in Lithuania, everybody, we have only one sport, and that's basketball.
Yeah.
So it was like easy to have these conversations. And then even these crazy stories of, one of us sneaked in to Cannes, this movie festival, and another has a story of having a gala dinner with Prince of Nigeria and all of that. So we had these crazy stories that we enjoyed listening and supporting each other, and yeah, so that really liked, and the drive, and yeah, from one side Peter says that I have these opinions about electric vehicles, but from the other side, Peter's a hustler. Like his phone is just burning all the time, and then that inspires me as well. That pushes me to action, because he's great on that. So I think we also help each other to be better.
So you're like halfway in this program, you decide to work together. You know electric vehicles in some EV in some capacity is what you're going to work on. The rest of the program, then you said maybe have half of that left. What'd you do in that rest of the program by the time you finish, at least? Like what kind of stuff did you get to in terms of what Lectrium, if it was even called that at that point, was that at that stage in the company?
Yeah, I can tell you one thing. For first, we spent probably 5 or 7 days just figuring out the problem and the industry. We had a couple of ideas. We're thinking, should we do this? Should we do that? And there was one thing that, oh my God, Christian will hear it and he'll be mad at me. He said, hey, so we brought him, one of the mentors brought him a slide with 12 different kind of verticals in electric vehicle industry. There's like the OCPP platforms, then there is this fleet management, and then there's like public charging, and then batteries and all of that. And then we showed it to him and said, well, we are thinking about this or that. And he said, hey, do residential charging, do chargers for home. And I said, I didn't say anything to him. I said, okay. Then we had this conversation with Peter, or say, obviously they are thinking who they want to invest in, and they want coachable teams, and they want so if they want a coachable team, let's show them that we can listen, and let's do residential charging, which I am as a domain expert, I believe that's can I say
you can always edit. You can always
that's
edit.
a bad idea. That's a bad idea. This is like very simple. It's like it's
Yeah.
very not innovative thing.
Sure.
That's a dryer's outlet with a Wi-Fi that you put on the wall. That's
Yeah.
nothing innovative. Let's agree on this. Let's take this idea, work on it like really hard for 2 days, collect all the possible feedback from anyone in the industry, and show them that's the bad idea, so we can fail fast, get points for showing that we not
Coachable.
only coachable,
Yeah.
but we also
Can
know how to
execute.
fail fast.
Yeah.
And then 12 or 14 hours later, we sat down and we looked into results and we said, oh my God, that's the gold mine.
Okay, wait a minute. You're saying that's the gold mine. Explain why you knew that was the gold mine. I don't know if
I
you
can
want to
jump in. There are a few reasons. One is we did a lot of research, and 85% of EV charging happens at home. Every house in Norway has a level 2 EV charger in it. And the US market for level 2 EV charging at home was, and still is, super undeveloped, kind of in all aspects, in terms of standardization of installation, in terms of what hardware people use, and in what software people use. So we kind of, just did this initial batch of research, and we're kind of comparing the world's most developed market to the United States, and we start realizing, oh my God, like, no one in the United States even knows that people will need level 2 chargers at their homes. Like, people, like, no one even knows that. So, we made calls to a whole variety of stakeholders in that kind of value equation, and we got traction kind of right away, which was fun. And then we kind of iterated business models around that for the next 3 or 4 weeks. At first we were thinking about, doing financing for, home charger installations. Then we were thinking about hardware, then software. Then we, agreed to do installation kind of like as a platform, like these solar platforms, and, layer on additional, products around that.
Okay, one thing you said, going back to that, you said you made calls to different stakeholders. Just take me through that process, because I know people in customer discovery and stuff, they're thinking about like, how do I do that? How do I go about it? Like, who do I reach out to? How do I reach out to them? Just take me through a little bit of that process.
Yeah, so Zygi and I visited car dealerships in Norway and kind of understood what happens when someone buys an electric vehicle. Then we called, salespeople at car dealerships in the United States and said, hey, I want to buy an electric vehicle. What happens? And no one knew the answer. Like, they couldn't sell you a charger, and they couldn't recommend a certified installer, and they didn't even know, that much about level 2 charging. I'm kind of generalizing this, but
That's fair. Yeah.
that was the general feedback. And then, we also talked to EV drivers in Norway, a few EV drivers in the United States, asked them, hey, how did you get your level 2 charger installed for, like early Tesla people? And they're like, oh my God, it was kind of a nightmare. So, we called EV drivers, we called dealerships, we called electricians and asked them, what kind of volume of these EV charger installations are you getting? And then we, researched Amazon to see what kind of chargers are out there. And we read some
as one does.
Yeah, we read some customer reviews from, Angie's List and stuff like that. And, kind of pieced it all together into a nice story.
From that then, so people who are listening, okay, I get it. They did the research to kind of validate this idea a little bit. Obviously, it's a broken market of sorts in the US, or just not even known about it from that perspective. Then tell me through what you decided to build / product development, what this product is in terms of what it needed to be based on what you were seeing in this market, what you had the research from, whatever. Like, take me through just the product side of it, then what this was going to be at that point.
Well, I think that another important thing, what mattered at that time is that every week we had these kind of conversations with mentors, the ones that are going to make a decision to invest or not at the end of the program. And after every meeting, we had this feedback session where we would start with this. Okay, we have 7 days to make wow effect. We have 7 days to work so hard, so that we bring a new deck, and then they say, wow, it's, you guys, did that in 1 week. So that was, and then, so that was one. And another driver to build the viable business model was, we knew it. If we can make $100 in 4 weeks, they are going to invest in us. No? If you can find the simplest way, the most simple way to to sell and to show that people are willing to pay for your service, that's that's what you want to have. And we worked hard. We didn't make $100 while in program, but pretty early after we got the investment, we realized that instead of hiring this expensive tech firm, whatever, we can build a lot of stuff with no-code solutions. So we built the first MVP ourselves, and using two no-code platforms, we pieced things together the way we saw it should go, and we actually made the first sale without barely none knowledge of coding.
What did you use in terms of no-code platforms? Just curious.
For the website, we used the Lithuanian platform Zyro.
Okay.
It's like Webflow or like Wix, I don't know, just to build the website yourself. And for the survey, that's an important piece of our business. We use Typeform.
So simple. I love it. I love the simplicity. There's so many ways you can test a business and get started without having to code anything, which I think is phenomenal, especially now. And we actually had the founder of Softer on our podcast, which is another no-code platform. They raised their Series A recently, and we built our back-end platform for Vitalize actually on their platform as a no-code solution. And it's great. Like, I love that we have that ability now as well. And you said you got your first paying customer from that on that no-code platform that you had used to build at least. How'd you get that first customer? Take me through the first paying customer you had. Take me through that.
Yeah, well, we've actually now gotten, a handful of our first paying customers on that no-code platform. We did kind of rebuild it a little bit with our developer on Webflow. But, we are a B2C business. So friends and family are good early users for B2C businesses. People in our network bought electric vehicles or know of friends and family that bought electric vehicles. So that's the way we got the very, very, very first customers. But since then, we've, created a small following on a few social platforms and been advertising our service offering, and a few kind of friends of friends of friends or friends of friends of family have also signed up. And now we're establishing a channel through automotive dealerships, and we've gotten our first paying customers through car dealerships, which is super exciting because it's showing that a channel works and can feed us leads and can grow over time and kind of be a sustainable model for that.
Nice.
One another thing to add. When we were doing a pitch for pre-seed, building the deck, we were thinking about the asks. Should we put the number there? Should we put this or that? So how should our asks should look like? And then we had this brilliant idea. We are trying to raise money from investors that are affluent, innovative people, right? They're the first movers into technologies. Let's ask them if they want to pilot our solution. If they got an electric car or they thinking about buying an electric car, why not, fill out the survey and see if we can, get you an estimate for EV charging installation. And actually, one of the Vitalize, these angels invested in us, got a charger installed.
That's right. Yeah.
Nice.
After our pitch with Vital, I think he was like your third customer or something. That was awesome.
That's amazing. To get customers however you can, obviously, and you have the platform that did enough to get customers based on what you're trying to offer from them as well. Take me through that side of things in terms of acquisition, because now you say you're B2C, but you also work with dealerships in this partnership capacity. What is like the business model behind this? So you have an understanding of like how does this company make money? Who pays for what? Just take me through some of that thing.
Yeah, there are multiple stakeholders. There's dealerships, there's electricians, there's consumers, and they all play a part in making homes EV ready. So at the end of the day, the homeowner pays for a charger and an installation at their home, and they pay Lectrium. From there, Lectrium disperses funds to a hardware company, an electrician who made the installation, and we keep profit for ourselves. when dealerships come into the equation, they feed us high volume of leads, and then we also, if we convert a lead from that dealership, we also pay, a conversion fee to them.
Yep.
But at the end of the day, the homeowner is paying Lectrium, and we are keeping some profit and dispersing the rest to people who helped us get that homeowner and get the job done.
Gotcha.
So
and then,
we were, yeah, please ask.
No, go ahead. I'll ask a follow up later. No worries.
Yeah. So okay, the founder exercise. So Peter, how can we make money and scale without hiring a bunch of really expensive sales managers? That was the exercise. We did this workshop. Okay, let's pick our brains, and if you need to pay huge salaries for salespeople, then the markup should be really high and whatnot. Is it possible that somebody else has paid those salaries? Like we don't pay that. So that's a stupid question. But we kind of figured it out that every time somebody sells an electric car, the EV charger is just an accessory, and then charge installation is a service to addition to that. So basically the person is committed to get a charger once they buy a car. So we just need to be there. So actually the salesmen, they are the salesman of a dealership is a salesman of Lectrium. Yeah. They sell Lectrium. And their salaries are being paid by dealerships, and we pay just the commission. So, if you look from that perspective, that workshop really worked well.
Yeah, it's a smart way to go about it. But one thing I'm curious about too, to that point, so you're working with dealerships, obviously, because that makes total sense with their salespeople and having this charging because they need it if they have an electric car. How do you then strategically think about which dealerships? How do you get a lot of them on board as quickly as possible? Can you handle that supply demand side of it on the back end? Just take me through some of that, because those are always challenges in this type of setting.
Yeah, so there's two approaches. There's bottom up and top down. We are trying both. So the top down approach is you either get a meeting with an OEM, which we have our first meeting with an OEM on Monday of next week. I won't share who, but we're super excited. And then the other top-down approach is you meet with owners of dealerships. So dealerships are owned privately in many cases by wealthy people who have built whole networks of them. So we can go top-down in the way that we find someone who owns 50 dealerships, and we get introductions to their general managers or whatnot, and we try to sell into all of them. The other approach is bottoms up, which when Zygi was with me in Sarasota, Florida, a week ago, we did, which is we print out 1,000 brochures and a few hundred business cards. We research on dealership websites who has the most EVs in stock. We find a car and we drive to each dealership, shake people's hands, drop off our brochures and business cards, and ask them if they want to help their customers have a better EV buying experience. So we're trying both of these. Both take a lot of energy and effort. So that's kind of been one of our big focuses for a few weeks, but we're learning a lot by doing it.
I was going to say, I'm sure the learnings by going in person and talking to them and getting potentially rejected by them, if they for whatever reason say no, you get to ask them then, wait a minute, why wouldn't you work with us? And you get obviously more feedback. Are you getting a lot of no's? Are most people saying yes? Take me through that, because I know founders are going to ask about this, thinking about all right, well, what's the hit rate? You go into a dealership cold. Are you closing 1 in 5 of them, 1 in 10 of them, 1 in 2 of them? I have no idea. Just take us through that experience.
I can say I think the most bizarre thing was that after a visit to a dealership, we got a message from a guy from salesman asking for hiring.
You're like, maybe.
This is how we do it.
No, but in terms of hit rate, that's pretty great. In terms of hit rate, it's weird. It's weird at dealerships. They're weird places a little bit. Each one is very unique. So some of the salespeople are like, oh yeah, give me your business cards and your brochures. I'll hand them out to all my customers if you pay me.
Yeah.
And then they're like, you don't need to talk to the general manager. He'll just do X, Y, and Z. Other places are you talk to a sales guy, and he immediately is like, I can't make a decision on this. You need to pitch my general manager, or like our ownership group, and then we kind of go through that process. So right now we have our brochures and business cards in the hands of probably 15 dealerships in Sarasota, Bradenton area, and we have pitch meetings set up with some of the ownership groups.
Nice. How do you think about then in terms of growth? So you have a current point you're at now in terms of the product, in terms of like the feedback and like data you've collected by talking to people and getting an idea of what people want, what's needed, et cetera, building out this platform of sorts. How do you think about growth just in terms of, okay, so you went to like 15 dealerships in Sarasota. There are how many cities that have dealerships? You know what I mean? Like just thinking of that, it's like, wait a minute, like we can go anywhere and get dealerships, but obviously we have to match demand. Just tell me more about how you think about growth as a startup at this stage, so that, you know, when we interview in 5 years and you're a multi-billion-dollar company, you can just come back to this interview and be like, oh yeah, we were thinking about it that way. I'm curious as to how you think about that now.
Yeah, so it's simple. You test in beachhead market what works and what doesn't work. Then you repeat the success. And if we can repeat the success and we can show that traction to investors, we'll go to the next round. So that's that simple. If it works in Sarasota, we'll try it in another similar town, and if it works there, we're gonna build a case and then scale it. We can actually so there's two sides, and the second side is like with more dealerships, with more installations we can get more dealerships, and with more dealerships we can go to the bigger networks of dealerships. And some of them, they're like these corporations where there's one general kind of the headquarters that own like a network of 50, 100, and 200 dealerships. If you go to such network, your first day they would say, how many dealerships you have? They would say, oh, you are the first one. They would say, hey, come back when you have 10. So I think we're doing that.
I love it. I love it. I love it. There's so many ways I guess you could grow from that. But to your point, testing this out, see if it works and get validation, be able to kind of repeat that system makes a ton of sense. In terms of that, one thing I'm curious about with just thinking about your business, you have like the US mandating certain amount of like EV charging, for instance, EV charging stations. Really want to go electric in terms of the United States. With that comes like a double-sided coin almost. It's like the competition, because that's going to be coming, but also this massive growing opportunity because it's going to be coming where this mandate is taking place. Just how do you think about that? How does that impact you guys? I'm just curious about how you even think about it.
Yeah, so it's important to note. A lot of the headlines and a lot of the promises are about public charging, the chargers that anyone can drive up to. And what we're focused on is mostly residential charging in someone's single-family home. So we're actually surprised, Lectrium, me and Zygi, and our team, we're surprised that public charging gets so much more press than residential charging. So there are ways that those headlines and budgets influence residential charging, like the subsidies for the EVs and some subsidies for installation costs and stuff like that could end up being, great for our growth. But a lot of the money that is being poured in right now, at least from what we understand, is going to public charging. If anybody knows of it going to residential, send us an email or note. There's definitely some, but yeah.
And you obviously said most of the charging takes place at home. I imagine people overnight, they charge their cars and everything like that. If there is more of a public charging aspect of it, do you think that changes your side of it at all? Just in terms of people, I mean, there's going to be more EVs overall. We know that's going to happen, right? But then are more people going to just charge publicly whenever, or like they're going to buy the in-home? Just take me through more of that. And Zygi, I know you're gearing up to talk, so go for it.
Yeah, I was preparing for this. No, kidding. But I've been saying it in a few occasions that you cannot solve new world problems with old world solutions. And these networks of public charging, they're trying to, in some way, repeat the networks of gas stations.
Yeah.
What does that mean? You are, commuting from point A to point B, and then you have to make a detour for like 5 or 10 miles to get to a special place where your car needs to stop, and then you go to a store, a shop to get a cup of coffee. and then something like that. If you think a little bit from a distance, it might not make sense. With electric car, you can get electricity at every point A and point B. I don't have a gas station at my home, and I do not have a gas station at work, but I have a charger at my home, and there's a charger at my work. So with home charging, I will never need to use a public charging. And if you look into the most developed markets such as Norway, Netherlands, Sweden, in Europe, those countries, the most of the charging happens at home.
Yeah.
Or at work.
They're also a little bit smaller countries though. So if you're doing if you're doing road trips too in the US, it's a bit different. I don't know exactly how much of a use case that is, but obviously it's something to think about.
Very quick answer here is that electric vehicle range is increasing every year. But we need to be also honest to ourselves. Electric cars are not for everyone right now, and there's millions of Americans that electric vehicles are not ready for them. Their range is too short, and then the charging speeds are too slow. But for another 20 million Americans, electric vehicles is going to be the next car in the next 7 years. And that's a fact.
Yeah, that's undoubtedly going that direction, as you can see by every major automaker trying to think about this in some capacity. It seems like as well. How much of that is you go into the dealerships because those are selling the cars, but then you have something like Tesla that has their own in-house things as well, and their charge obviously have their own kind of thing with everything. Are you looking at partnering? I guess you don't have to necessarily partner with the auto manufacturers directly because they all go through dealerships for the most part, or is that something you even think about? You have to think about it all as they're creating electric vehicles.
It would be nice to partner with these OEMs from the top level on their websites, where consumers can pre-order electric vehicles and put down their first deposit. That would be really, really nice, and something we would love to do, and something we hopefully will do. When we have those conversations with OEMs, they're going to ask us for our case studies on the installations we've made and how we handled them. So right now we're building the case to do that.
No, that makes sense. And with that too, so just one of the last pieces on that, with getting actually the installers on the platform matched up and make sure you're having enough always. How has that gone, that side of things? Because obviously if you can get people who have these cars, like they need to get them installed, someone has to install them. Just take us through that side and how you look at that.
Yeah, we have an awesome advisor who built a solar installation company. And he gave us really, really nice advice on this exact point. If you get a lead anywhere, close it. You'll find an installer. People want to make money. You can find someone to make the installation. So, if we get a lead in anyone's home who's listening anywhere in the country, we will fulfill it and do it right. And we have a process that we follow, and procedures and guidelines that the installers need to meet. But I think Zygi wants to jump in here too.
Yeah,
go ahead.
So I think another important aspect here, talking about electricians, is why we are here on this podcast, and especially because of Vitalize and how Lectrium and Vitalize are together. Vitalize is the future of work, right? And for us, we very early in our business development stage, we realized that we can actually be competitive only if we put electrician in the center of this equation. Our success actually depends on the electrician's service that we help people to find. So we are thinking and building the platform to make their life better. We already make their lives better because we take away the unnecessary site visiting, which also sometimes leads to biased pricing and all the other issues. And so by creating electricians, a better life for electricians, we are going to be successful. And some people ask, so hey, what if I call my electrician? Our answer is always, sooner or later that electrician will say, of course I can install you a charger, but could you please order it through Lectrium platform, because that makes my life easier. So I think we're heading that direction.
I love it. And as Lectrium has grown here, you start off in Antler. That's where it originally began. Obviously, you got investors since then as well. You've also done like pitch competitions. Just take me through some of the other ways you've kind of gotten your name out there, ways to kind of do the marketing and all of that side of things. Obviously, you're on this podcast now, which is helpful. But just take me through other things you've kind of done to kind of grow the name that is Lectrium.
Definitely. So we're lucky to be in two awesome co-working facilities in both Vilnius and in Manhattan. In Manhattan, we're in the Columbia Startup Lab. And Columbia University hosts a bunch of awesome challenges for founders from our school each year. We registered for the Columbia Climate Challenge, sponsored by Block Power and Donnell Baird. They've done incredible work, and we're huge fans of Block Power. And we actually won the Columbia Climate Challenge, which gave us some soft funding, some grant money, and also advanced us to the next round of the Columbia University Challenge, in which we competed against the winners of each kind of targeted Columbia University Challenge. Nice. And then we won like the tournament of champions as well. So we're very honored this year to have competed against these companies. We sit next to them in Columbia Startup Lab often, and big shout out to Daniela who runs the lab. So yeah, we're lucky to do that. And we also do the same thing in Vilnius, which I'll let Zygi touch on too.
Yeah. So one thing what we did, we organized the startup shower. Baby showers. Yeah. So I did a startup shower. Peter came to visit our Lithuanian office, and we used that opportunity to invite our friends. Instead of meeting 20 people on 20 different locations and telling the same thing. So first of all, we started with friends. Then we invited all the other EV startup and ecosystem player in Lithuania for them to hear what we're building. So for them to know what is happening here, and like we are here to collaborate instead of compete or whatever. Then we invited the biggest startups, the unicorns that are in Lithuania, and their representatives, some developers, and our founding engineer Arnas. He got, I don't know, maybe 15 or 20 developers to come. And then, those guys, they come there and they say, oh my God, that's my boss here. And then, so we had investors. We even had a member of the parliament in that event. And so that was a really cool event. And that was one of the, and then, I spoke in a few conferences, and then all of those networkings and everything. So, and then Rocket, the co-working space in Vilnius, are helping us as well. So yeah, and if you're visiting Vilnius, shoot me a LinkedIn message. We will set you a working space in Rocket, and then show you around.
One of the last things I'm curious about, because you just mentioned that too, you're in different locations, both of you. Remote work is very prominent now. This last 2 years obviously catapulted this. Just take me through how you two and your team like work together, how you manage this remote work situation. I'm just curious about that too.
Yeah, so in the US, we wake up early and we start our days super early. And in Lithuania, the team stays up a bit late. And then first thing in the morning in the US, we have a check-in call. It's our daily stand-up every single day, where we just update each other from kind of the time not spent together. So we're all on the same page at the beginning of the day in the US and, early afternoon in Lithuania. Then we work together for 5 or 6 hours, really, really hard. And then, obviously the whole day can't be spent in meetings. So we go to our tasks, during the times meetings aren't being held. Also, we've made a ton of effort to visit each other. Zygi's been to the US to visit me 3 times now. He's, recently spoke at the Lithuanian American Business Conference, a business forum in Philadelphia. So, not only are we doing remote work, but Zygi's also strengthening the ties between, the American government and Lithuanian government.
Love it. Love it.
And then, I've been to Lithuania, to Vilnius for 3 weeks, a 3-week trip. And then I'm going back in about a month.
Love it. Yeah, I think that cadence seems to work out, especially as we talked to other teams as well, and the different founders I've talked to. It's like they try to do something in person, it seems like every quarter, as kind of a general thing for their startup. And obviously it's not one size fits all in any capacity, but having talked to a number of like unicorn startups that are remote now and they're thinking about it from the beginning, it's like, oh, I think that kind of works. But every team size matters, everything situation is different clearly with that as well. And one of the last things I'm curious about, just so we can like listen to this years later. If if you get to where you want to get to, and let's just say 5 years, what did you have done, or what do you need to execute on in the next few years to get to that point where you really are, I guess, taking over the market, leading the market, et cetera? Because obviously this market is growing massively. You have found an opportunity within what you're doing in terms of EV charging. But what do you have to do in the next few years to succeed in that?
Yeah, I can take this. If we are, looking into this whole industry and all the stakeholders that are related to anything around electric vehicles and then the home charging and your home, the first thing and our mission is to make every American home EV ready. So that's first thing. Those homes are not ready, and those homes are not only not ready for electric vehicle, but for smart home management and all of those technologies that can actually help people. Electric vehicles, they're much more sustainable solution to commute from point A to B than the internal combustion engine cars. And then using your electricity in a smart way, and then in your car will train you a habit, and hopefully it'll train you a habit to be more sustainable at your home. And with the technology, if you can control the way the one thing is to drive electric cars, right? Second thing is to think of how you use electricity at home. So for us, electric charger in the way is just an instrument to connect those homes, and then help people to use electricity in a smarter way. And instead of spending more, we can actually help them to save on it. And think of electric car as just the battery. That's the lot of power in the battery that moves from point A to B. You can go to work, charge your car from the solar roof, come back home, turn on TV, and watch the TV from the electricity that you have just brought home. That's the future.
I love it. Where's the best place for people to learn more about Lectrium and also connect with you if they like to, for whatever reason, want to join the company, want to partner with you? What's the best way to do that?
Probably reaching out on LinkedIn to me or Zygi. You can find Zygimantas Zabieta or Peter Barba on LinkedIn, or just Lectrium, and you can see our employees. You can also, if you want to make your home EV ready, go to lectrium.io. You can follow us on Instagram, Twitter. We're trying to be as present as possible. So, that's.
I will be sure to link all of that up as well. VitalizePodcast.com. We'll have those links as well, and we'll promote this out obviously to everything, so people will know those links, where to find you, where to learn more about you. But thank you so much, Peter and Zygi, for the time. Really appreciate it.
Awesome. Thank you, Justin.
Thank you very much.